welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm Representative Gary Hopper from the big city of Wea. And tonight, we have the honor of the most awesome Al Baldasaro, who represents Londonderry and is running for speaker. And to make sure I full disclosure. You don't want me to. You don't want me to fully exposed. That would be bad. Anyway, full disclosure. I am also supporting Representative Al Baldasaro for Speaker of the New Hampshire House. And the thing is, if you're involved in this for years, every 2 years is a speaker race, and everybody fights amongst themselves, and every 2 years, you hear of people being promised certain positions if they support this person for speaker, and every 2 years they say, "Oh no, I wouldn't do that. We're going to decide after the election," which is, never bought it. But Al has promised me a leadership position if I support him as the head bottle washer.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. Do I get a license plate for that?
Well, yeah, there is. There's a separate parking spot and stuff.
Jeez, I can't imagine where that is.
Yeah, it's down there by the draft there.
Oh, all right. Yeah, that seems appropriate. Yeah,
yeah, without a doubt there. But as you know, we've known each other for a lot of years there, and I've been a legislator. I'm on my 6th term, 11 years, and transparency is the key. I believe in telling it like it is and not hold any punches. People know where I stand, just like you, Gary.
Yeah, that's actually, I was just down on Matt Connaughton's radio show saying the same thing, is that, I may not always agree with you, but I always know where you stand. I always know that whatever you're telling me is, as far as you're concerned, the truth. I mean, we may disagree on
there's only maybe 1 or 2 issues we go in
I know, I'm just saying overall.
Right, overall.
When you tell me something, right, I know that you believe it.
Right.
It's not like some people in politics, you say something to them and you look at their eyes and you wonder what they're really thinking, because whatever's coming out of their mouth isn't that.
Well, I'm a true believer of Ronald Reagan, because during his 2nd year as my commander-in-chief in the Marines is when I actually switched over to Republican.
Right.
And I believe in what he said, that trust but verify.
Right.
Okay, if you're with me 80% of the time, you're not my enemy.
Right.
And, I don't agree with everyone 100% of the time.
Hey, the Honorable John Hikel's here.
Yeah.
How you doing?
John, how are you, brother?
Al Baldasaro?
John, it's always a pleasure. I'm sure if John was in the house there again, I'd have his support.
I know.
If you were speaker, I might be there again.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think, and the reason why I'm running
could be here again.
Yes.
Gary, the reason why I'm running for speaker is, first of all, I'm a former chair.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a vice chair of the State and Federal Relation Veterans Affairs. I'm the former tri-chair of the House Republican Alliance.
Yeah.
I bring everyone together. Leadership, I bring back the HRA, I bring in the Freedom Caucus, because I'm amongst them all.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've worked hand in hand with every one of them.
Yeah, the other thing, Al, that people don't know, I don't think they know, because they see, I think most people who are passive viewers probably see you as entirely partisan, but that's really not true. I've seen Al work with all kinds of Democrats on all kinds of issues. Elizabeth Ropp, who's here in town, who does the acupuncture, you worked with her to help her get her bill through.
Right, yes.
Right. And that was obviously she's very liberal, but you agreed with her.
Right,
and
I agree with the issue.
On?
I look past the politics.
Right.
Because if you look at my good friend Catherine Rogers.
Right.
Okay, she'll tell you straight up, she's the biggest progressive in the House. Her and I worked hand in hand on the elderly protection bill.
Right.
Okay, on the scams that are going on with our elderly, and that was signed by the governor. We worked hand in hand on the service dogs, police dogs, veterans dogs, the ones that go out and save lives.
Yeah.
On having a special day. Every veterans bill that I put in, if you ever noticed, I always have Democrats on it, because I believe veterans issues are nonpartisan.
Yep.
Some of the Democrats complain because I have that Marine Corps look. You know what I mean? They say I intimidate them. On the way I speak. But I got no control over my voice. My voice carries. It's a voice of authority. And that's just life in the fast lane.
You could probably have it fixed.
I am actually going to have it fixed.
Oh,
it's weird how you said that. Because, listen, the last 4 years, I've been in I use the VA. I have full coverage insurance.
Yeah.
But I use the VA because how can I be an activist on veterans issues if I don't use the system?
Right.
There's so many talking heads out there that say talk bad or good about the VA, and they never walk through the doors.
Right, right.
But anyways, the doctors I've had for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been complaining about my throat, my sinuses, my drainage, and they gave me Mucinex.
Yeah.
Okay, and my eyes and other stuff there from Desert Storm. My eyes don't tear. Okay, so I have eye drops.
No,
and
that's
other
just
stuff.
because you're Republican.
Right, that's probably what it is. I
Yeah.
switched from Democrat.
Yeah.
But anyways, to make a long story short here,
Or something.
I get a new doctor, and he can't understand why I had a heart attack over 4 years ago. I haven't had a stress test. Why I haven't seen a cardiology in over 4 years. And then he says, the sign with your throat, that's a sign of lung problems. So he set me up with all these tests. I did the stress test. Come to find out I got restricted lung issues. I went to ENT. Come to find out I got a polyp growing inside my throat that's blocking my voice,
Right.
by my ear passage. They don't think it's cancerous, but they're going to take it out December 7th.
Right,
know?
right.
So it's crazy. I mean, here I'm thinking I'm getting this great treatment, and my wife's always saying, you got full coverage insurance. Why you sacrifice for other veterans? How else am I going to help other veterans if I don't do it?
If you don't know.
If I don't go through it like what they go through.
Exactly.
So I got to go to Jamaica Plains to have this operation done December 7th.
Oh, well,
But
we're thinking of you for
yeah,
sure.
well, thanks. But like anything else, life goes on. I can't sweat the small stuff.
Right.
My way of giving back to New Hampshire
But you're not going to do the whole
is being a rep.
But now that the state's covering it, you're not going to do the transgender thing, so you can be more people.
No,
This is
not
gonna
at
fix
all.
his voice that much.
I'm actually.
It's not going to fix his voice. He's
I
not
am.
going to fix his voice.
I am
that
hoping
much.
that we repeal. There's legislation that's been
He'll
filed.
still have a deep voice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna repeal that.
This day and
By
age,
the way, that's
you
going to
can't.
be repealed.
Right.
I co-sponsored with Dan. I think it was Dan Nitzer on the bill there to go forward to repeal that.
Yep.
And I don't care what people think. We have people with mental health. We got people with drug problems. That's where the money needs to go.
Right.
We got women in homeless shelters with children.
Right.
Okay, that's where the money needs to go. We got homeless veterans. Why are we spending I'm talking $200,000-$300,000
Oh, I'm
per
sure.
individual
I'm sure.
with the long treatment that goes with this transgender,
Right.
adjustments there, whatever they do. That money should be
We have
going
people that
to the
can't
needy.
go to a dentist. We have people that
Right.
can't afford their their affordable care
Yeah, the
insurance.
deductibles. I get calls from
We
constituents.
have all kinds of reasons. to places.
$7,500, $10,000 deductibles.
Right.
That's crazy. Medicare Expansion.
Well, actually, I'd like to talk about that a little bit because that really bothered me. Because you and I were both there during it. GELCAR is the Joint Legislative
Committee on
Rules Committee.
Right.
A bill goes to GELCAR, and theoretically, it's not a policy; it's a rule. Well, whether or not they're going to accept this new rule, and so therefore, it doesn't go through to the full House.
Right.
To me, something that is that.
It's used by the departments, correct?
Yeah, it's used by the department.
Right.
And what you and I saw was, I don't know if you'll agree with me, but I saw the Commissioner of Health and Human Services go in there and lie to that committee.
He did lie.
Repeatedly
Yes, he
lie.
did.
And I say lie, not like as in he said something that wasn't true, but lied in that he deliberately avoided the question and redirected the question, like when he was asked quite specifically, how much does this cost? He said pennies.
Right. He
Right?
did lie.
Pennies.
Yes, that's right.
All right, you and I know, if you do any research at all, this can cost tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of
for
dollars.
this here. I did a
And there
research
was,
on
and
it.
they was like 100 different people
Right.
that they knew of at that time. So we're talking like $1 million or millions of dollars.
Well,
And he avoided the question of would this, and this was a direct question, would this also apply to young people, like 12, 13-year-olds?
He lied again.
He avoided that question,
and
too.
it does cover them.
It does cover
Right,
them.
yes. Now, I want you to one thing I don't know if you...
Commissioner that's been there a while, or is he? An
Yeah,
appointee
he's appointed by Governor
Silvas
Lynch.
or,
I mean, not Governor Lynch. Hassan, I think, appointed him.
Yeah, but he was deliberately
Right.
misleading that
Now, I
committee.
want you to catch the key word he used, which nobody paid attention to.
Governor Sununu could replace him.
Yeah,
couldn't he?
what he said in the Obamacare, which is the ACA, the word discriminatory is in there. Says nothing about transgender operations, treatments, or anything. Discriminatory. Medicaid expansion, Medicaid was put in place for low-income people. Now, I should say Medicaid was.
Al,
Medicaid.
try not to bang the table.
Oh, okay, my watch, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, they're going to think I'm intimidating somebody.
No, yeah, I know. I was
you're not looking for a
scared. Were you getting scared?
You're
I
not
was
looking for a
getting
safe
scared.
place, are you? All right. Hey, but anyways, the word discriminatory was used, and one's interpretation of that is totally different than mine, because the subject Medicaid was discussed as medical for people in need, okay, and the medical issues, heart, diseases, to help and take care of those that can't afford. Most people don't understand Medicaid expansion is you could be married and make up to, I think it's almost $70,000 per family and get subsidies. You could live in $1 million home. Unlike Medicaid people, low income, they put a lien on your property because the government wants their money back. Medicaid expansion doesn't do that. So there's some stuff that we have going on with a waiver was just submitted last week. I don't know if you're aware.
No.
Do you remember the amendment I put on there saying that if a veteran is turned away, that all veterans will be taken care of? Otherwise, Medicaid expansion goes away?
Right.
Because I said if you're going to treat people on welfare or on illegals, then you're going to treat veterans that are homeless and others, because a lot of veterans get their disability. Some may be a few dollars over the threshold. It might be, they can't qualify.
Right.
So then there's other ones that the Senate put in and the House put in on the work permits, saying you have to at least work 20 hours. Well, that amendments went to Washington, D.C. last week.
Oh,
So
really?
we're waiting now to see. Because if it comes back denied, Medicaid expansion is probably going to go away. Right now the date is next year, I think it's December 2018.
Okay.
Now, if you talk to the other candidates running for Speaker, you're going to find probably almost every one of them don't have the knowledge that I have on the different pieces of
Well,
legislation.
you've also got the experience leading the committee. I think the only one with technically more experience than you would probably be Chandler.
Right.
But he's just going to be like he's going to be the same old.
He's been a speaker so many times.
Right, so many times.
I
Yeah.
mean, he was Speaker pro tem with Bill O'Brien.
We have to think out of the box here.
Yeah,
now.
we need a new
I've got a
speaker. We need
game
new
plan
blood
on
in
how to
there.
get the Republican message out.
Right.
With weekly bringing up the chairs to discuss the bills on a press conference on a weekly basis, so the people we can get this out of the House.
Right.
So
Right
people
now,
understand what's
They
going
know
on.
what's going on in the state. Transparency is the key.
Right.
Okay, it's the same thing with legislation. Every bill I plan on, before I send them to a committee, I plan on putting a little committee like we did a few years ago under Speaker O'Brien to look at them and look, are they constitutional? Are they in accordance with the platform? Is it going to cost the taxpayers money? You know what I'm saying? This is the key. Are we helping businesses or are we hurting businesses?
Right.
And as a speaker, I believe that it will make a big difference on our agenda to move forward.
One of the questions people are going to have is right now you're halfway through we're almost through with the first year of the two-year term. Are you going to disrupt all the leadership? In other words, are you going to fire people from different positions
No.
and put people in place?
I've already made it clear that I will not replace one chair, vice chair, and the reason is because the process is already in place. LSRs have already submitted. HBs are going to start funneling through the printer's office there, and they get introduced to the House. Committee chairs in November, December timeframe will already be scheduling, for hearings in January. I know. The only disruption there will be is I will bring in my own chief of staff, and I've already have a commitment from former Representative Pam Tucker. She will be my chief of staff as a speaker.
She's awesome.
She is.
She's a
And
nice
the
lady.
reason I'm bringing in Pam Tucker is the former deputy chair. Pam Tucker understands the rules, the regulations, the process, how to run the House.
Right.
So it'll be a smooth transition, okay, to bring everyone together. And I think with the Democrats, I work hand in hand with them all.
Right.
So I honestly believe I will bring them on board also. We're not going to agree on everything. We already know that. But we want to be civil. You know, we want to have a rough day at the House, voting, disagree, agree, whatever. At the end of the day, shake hands.
Yep.
Right.
Tomorrow's another day.
Right.
And as you know, I have years of experience strategizing, planning, budgets as a Marine. With 5,000, I manned 10 camps on organizing and placing. It's not all about Al Baldasaro, because I didn't become first sergeant in the Marine Corps because I was God's gift. It was because I could put in a team to handle this, and this, to make stuff run smooth. You know, and the same thing when I got out of the Marine Corps. I got hired as a recruiter for a staffing company in Delaware. 6 months from the day after I rewrote their recruiting plan, I was promoted to Vice President of Sales, Marketing, Recruiting for a large staffing company with 3 offices.
Right.
Then we were bought up by a bigger company. Then I became their national recruiter. I went around the country doing acquisitions.
Right.
Okay, doing the hiring, doing the firing, doing the benefits, doing the recruitment. I spent time in Chicago, Detroit, Florida, on hiring and, and putting people. I was the bulldog. I could organize the full team of 300-400 people, hiring them, training them, getting them to work with a program we call Smart Solutions. So I know what it is to think out of the box. Yeah. I bring new ideas to the House.
Right.
In order to come together.
I like the idea of transparency a lot, because I think that's one thing we totally lack. I just spent, we just concluded the work of the Right to Know Commission yesterday with
How did that
Bob.
go anyways?
No, that was Tuesday. Yesterday.
Yeah, is there any legislation coming out of that?
Yeah, Bob Guy is introducing legislation as a result of that. Here, I know this is not on topic, but I'll say it anyway. So that basically our conclusion was what we really need is like an ombudsman, a representative that people can call and say, hey, my town won't give me this information. And the ombudsman would look at the information, call the town. The town would say, explain why maybe there was personnel information.
In accordance with RSA, such and
exactly.
Such.
And then he would try to resolve the issue without going to court. Because right now, if you want information from your town, you go to the town says, I don't think so. And if you're a normal citizen, how much do you understand the system well enough to take them to court to get that information? How much and because New Hampshire requires people to actually go to court to get the information, it's one of the least user-friendly states in the country as far as getting information about the government. And Senator Guida said, I think, and I'm paraphrasing, that
we have a call.
Okay, just a second.
Okay.
Paraphrasing, Senator Guida said, basically, this is the people's information.
Right. That's right. Anything government does.
It's the town that should have to come up with a reason why not the person to come up with a reason why they need it. Anyway,
I'd like to see the House checkbook on the line.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
You're on the air.
Hey, is Al Baldasaro there?
Yeah.
I sure am. Yes. How are you?
Hey, Representative. This is Representative Jeff Deal running against Elizabeth Warren out of Massachusetts, and I just want to tell folks who are watching or listening, you've got one great representative in Al, and I certainly think Speaker of the House would be a great role for him.
Well, Jeff, I want to thank you there, and I'm hoping that you win that seat and take out Senator Warren, who is a fraud, and I look forward to working with you and others there in Washington as the Speaker to look out for the state of New Hampshire.
Are you are you running against her just because you're offended by her Indian heritage?
I'll tell you, I've been serving in the legislature of Massachusetts for 7 years. I've watched since she got into office not deliver on any promise for the people of Massachusetts, and now in Washington she wants to be the main obstructionist of the president and his agenda to try to move the American people forward. And that doesn't help states like Massachusetts. It certainly doesn't help states like New Hampshire, especially when, especially in the light of what happened in New York yesterday. We've got Elizabeth Warren, a senior senator of Massachusetts, who would was voted against Kate's law, which was to prevent sanctuary cities, and also is for open borders and against Donald Trump's extreme vetting to make sure that people coming from state-sponsored terrorist states, that those people are checked more carefully. So, I think for public safety, not just the amount of money it costs our states, we need a better senator. So I will look forward to being a partner down in Washington with, not just Massachusetts legislators, but also a great neighbor to our north in New Hampshire with Al as Speaker of the House.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, what's great about Jeff there, even as a House of Representatives, we worked hand in hand with New Hampshire. Remember the toll wars?
Yeah.
I went down there with other representatives, and we took them on, and Jeff and others were there in support. They didn't want the toll rolls. Scott Brown was a state senator back then,
Right.
And I think it was Senator Bob Hedlund. So we work hand in hand with the legislators there. It would be great to see Jeff as a senator there, because where we have Democrat senators in Congress, he would pretty much be our senator.
Right.
Okay, speaking as a Republican on behalf of Republican issues in New Hampshire.
Right.
Well, we in New England are unified. I'll tell you, the other thing, too, is Al, when he says what he's going to do, he actually means it. I think that's why he's been serving with such distinction for a long time. Served in the military with honor, and I can't thank him enough just for doing that alone. But to give up his time, personal life to work for the people of New Hampshire, it's amazing. And then to want to step up into the role of Speaker of the House, that's the thankless job, and it's something that you need someone like Al Baldasaro doing. So I hope, against hope, that everybody in New Hampshire who can weigh in on this will make sure that they tell their representatives to make Al their speaker.
He's only doing it for the money, the extra $25 a year.
Yeah. That's the other funny thing is, New Hampshire, you got a legislature that already is doing it for the right reasons. In Massachusetts, they just gave themselves massive pay raises. In some cases, 40 and 60% pay raises.
Wow.
I
heard you voted against that, Jeff.
$30,000 range. It's the wrong way of looking at serving people in government. And I know Al's always put the people first.
Right. Well, Jeff, and I know you're the same way there, and you're looking out for people's pocketbooks, because what they don't realize, every time we put a tax in, we take away somebody's quality of life.
Right. I look at taxes or money as economic freedom is your personal freedom. I mean, it used to be that a family could go away for a 2-week vacation, maybe in the summer with their kids. Nowadays, you have to both partners have to work in the household. You barely get time to be with the kids. So the more money we put back in people's pockets, the more freedom we give them to actually have a quality of life that they deserve. And of course, New Hampshire, you guys are live free or die. So I mean, it makes a total sense. And I'm always jealous of how you guys are no sales tax, no income tax. I think it's just a great way to go.
Hey, thanks for the call, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. We appreciate the call in.
Good luck to you, Jeff, too.
I wish you best of luck, but I know that the people will do the right thing.
Well, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Jeff is a great guy. He's a fighter in Massachusetts.
What's Jeff's name?
Jeff Deal.
Deal,
yes.
And
I was actually spoke at a function on behalf of him. I went to Lexington, Mass. there, and they had a big house party for him. Must have been about 100 people there. It was a fundraiser for him. And because he was Donald Trump's co-chair in Massachusetts.
Sure.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, I met him.
I tweeted out that I was going to be on here, by the way. That's probably why. You know what I mean? And as I don't know if you know that I am credited on Twitter, where I have official Twitter account, with the little blue check mark there. So when I put something out, I get over almost 9,000 people that see it. Nice. And then they retweet and other stuff there.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I think having somebody like Jeff, if once he beats Senator Warren, I can contact him on Republican issues that face the state of New Hampshire. He's a personal, we became pretty good friends over the last year or two.
Right. Yep. It sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. No. But anyways, to get back to why I'm running for Speaker, for the longest time, the last 11 years, I've seen representatives that spoke out, and they attack them because they disagree with what they say. And they don't look past the freedom of speech. And they don't look past, on why he said it. Is it in accordance with the law? Is it an opinion? Okay? Because in the New Hampshire Constitution, we're protected. State representatives and what we speak in the well and in the House.
Yep.
Okay? But yet we have other people, we eat our own.
Right.
Okay? And it's a shame. When we should be standing by him and saying, something, his constituents voted him in.
Right.
they'll make decision to vote him back in or vote him out.
Right.
Okay? Not somebody who is a rhino or something from another district or a Democrat jumping on the monkey pile on that state representative.
Right.
I mean, I've said things that were in accordance with the law, the U.S. Code 18 and the Constitution. I had an opinion as an American. I didn't serve 22 years in the Marine Corps to give up 1 inch of my freedom of speech to be
Right.
silenced.
No, I agree. I was on a show earlier today talking about that you speak your mind and people get offended. Oh, well, so what?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
Being offended
It's your
is...
right to be offended.
Yeah, exactly.
but show me where I'm wrong.
Exactly.
That's what I asked. Where am I wrong in accordance with the law?
Right.
You know, like what I said about Hillary Clinton. Where am I wrong? I said should. We're a country of laws.
Right.
You have to be found guilty.
Right.
Okay? But yet they twist and turn the media. Everything I said, everything President Trump said, and I was fortunate to go all over the country.
Right.
You know, I helped him write his veterans plan. Right. Okay? So I just didn't come off the turnip truck. You know,
No, I saw that, and what you said was perfectly legitimate.
Yeah,
Anybody that supported Hillary, there's no right or wrong.
You know,
it's just real wrong.
I said the same thing when I went to the floor and supported the police when the Democrats were trying to repeal the death penalty. When I said that the killer of Michael Briggs should be put in the death penalty. He was already found guilty.
Right.
Because if we passed that repeal of the death penalty, it would have never happened. And if you kill a cop, I believe if you kill anybody, murder, you should be in the death penalty. That's just my opinion.
I agree. I don't know why they leave it to just judges and police officers.
Yeah,
I think
I don't either.
Well, we can get that'd be a long debate,
Right.
but I just
But I
felt
mean,
that-
there
but
should
the
be a
Democrats-
precedent for anybody that murders. I
The
mean,
Democrats don't mind in killing babies.
shouldn't
Right.
take that off the table.
You know, so what's the difference? I mean, I'm pro-life. I've been pro-life, and I don't change my ways for nobody.
right.
You know, I still tell you like it is. If you ask me where I stand, I let you know.
Right.
I want more adoptions. I'm hoping that we can get rid of some of this bureaucracy in the adoptions.
Right.
You know, and why it's costing people $25,000, $30,000.
Right.
That's a business.
It's
Yep.
a huge
You know,
business.
you-
Right.
And you remember a few years back, I said the state is selling children.
Right.
Because we're getting Title 4D money under adoptions.
Right.
I just co-sponsored with Democrats that passed in law a grandparents' bill,
Right.
okay, on grandparents' rights bill to the child.
We should be placing as many children that need
with their
homes
family.
as soon as possible.
Right, oh, without a doubt.
Instead of these,
But the
charging so much.
grandparents and the family should have first priority,
Absolutely.
you know, before a child is adopted outside the family.
Of course.
I know kids have been adopted outside the family that mentally it bothers them with, you know, to try to find
Right.
their family members.
Yeah, it will distort a child's. There's a myriad of things that can affect a child. A child, if they lose their mother because it's weird. If you lose your mother or father because they die,
Different ball
a
game.
different ball game. Children typically can adapt to that because they
Right.
understand it.
But where's the grandparents first?
But when it's the mother is abandoned the children basically because of drug use and things like that, it totally messes with their mind. And so if you take a child, it would be legitimate if somebody's in the throes of addiction to take that child out of the
Right, to
home
get her out
of
I
of the
agree.
addicted parent.
Right.
But to put them into a system when you could just say, ask the grandparents, can you
Right.
can you take this kid until mom gets better?
Right. And the key should be to help mom to get her into the drug
Yeah.
court, get her help, or get her into a drug program where we can get her help.
Yeah.
You know, not just push her to the side and, all of a sudden now you're no good mother, this or that, because there's sometimes it's a sickness,
It is a sickness.
and we need to help them.
Yeah, I just one of my best friends growing up just kept fighting that evil. Okay, heroin addiction, and I know one of the greatest deceptions in history was to convince people there was no Satan, and to me there is a Satan,
I
there
agree.
is evil,
Yeah.
and heroin addiction is absolutely positively evil, and it grabs somebody, and once it grabs them, it wants to kill them. And every time, people get away from it, and maybe they get away from a program where they're stable, and it pulls them back. It's like an abusive relationship.
That's right.
We need to find a solution to this problem.
But you know,
there are
throwing more money at
That's
it.
right.
There are
it's not.
solutions,
And we're
but people.
throwing tons of money at it, and it's becoming a business on that end of it.
Yes, it
People are
is.
making
Yeah.
a lot of money and getting nowhere.
As the speaker,
Matter of fact, getting
I would like
backwards.
to put a few people from Health and Human Services, a few people from Children and Family Law, maybe one from Judiciary, one from Criminal Justice, to sit in a commission and bring in the people who are running these programs.
You can't.
And see is our money, are we getting our money's worth?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Do you see what I'm saying? We have the right to do that, the whole commission, and we have the right to subpoena people.
You know
to
what?
bring them in.
You know what?
And tell us where's the taxpayers' money working? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong?
I was reading they put a stop on licensing counselors or something. I was reading this morning or yesterday morning about there's some kind of a hold on licensing more counselors or some sort of thing that
Right.
has to do with the rehab.
That's because it's like any group, licensing group. Once they're in, they want to keep other people out, so they increase and keep
Right.
increasing under GELCAR the requirements for people that want to go into counseling.
Protect
if you want
their
to
jobs.
protect their jobs,
Right.
if you want to be a counselor in New Hampshire, I forget what the thing is, but you wouldn't believe how many hundreds of hours.
I can
Not only
imagine.
do you need your associate's degree and or bachelor degree, depending on what you want, but now you need hundreds and hundreds of hours.
Do you know who makes the best drug counselors? Somebody has been through it.
Somebody's been in one.
Right.
Yeah, used
Do you know, when I was in the Marine Corps, I was certified on the urine test and everything else, and through the counseling for the drug programs there. Now, I wasn't certified counselor. I was certified to run the program. The counselors were former Marines that had drug issues.
Right.
And they sent them to a 1 month school, educate them. They were out there helping other Marines that somehow got addicted to drugs or painkillers, because a lot of Marines are
Yeah.
painkillers.
Oh, yeah.
Painkillers, rather.
Right.
And those pain pills there, because of issues they had, they broke a leg, this injuries in the military, they got addicted.
Yep.
And I know about 5 years ago, I broke my pelvis in the Marine Corps in 3 places. They give you Oxycontin like candy. But I refused. I dealt with the pain. Then when
Good
I went
job.
through the VA with other issues there, it's the same thing. They used to issue it like candy. Okay? And I'd say, no, I don't want that.
Right.
I'll take whatever Advil, Tramadol, and Meloxicam, other stuff that I take.
Right.
You know what I mean? For the muscles and the other issues I have in my spine. But I stayed away from the Oxycontin. I'm one, as a young kid, played ice hockey with my friends with marijuana. I grew up in the city. Cocaine was there. You know, and get that stuff away from me.
Of course.
You know,
Right.
I was a leader, not a follower.
I want to tell you something. One, if you look in the statistics that I'm aware of, the organizations that are very effective at treating drug and alcohol addiction are religious-based organizations, because if you understand that addiction is evil, and I'm not saying the people that are addicted
Right.
are evil. I'm
No,
saying it
the
is
addiction itself.
an evil.
Yes.
And it is trying to kill you. As soon as you understand that, you realize that because there's the physical addiction and the mental addiction and the spiritual side. And the spiritual side is the one that will keep coming back at
Right.
you. And it is spiritually based programs that are the most effective at treating addiction. But the legislature won't pay for Christian-based organizations or anything else.
No, it's a shame. I think we should be. Maybe we need to change the
We should be
Constitution.
willing
Right.
to look at, like
Yes.
you said, look at the broad spectrum of what's gone on
Right.
and what has worked, and go with that regardless of whether the ACLU gets their
Do you know
panties
right
in a
now,
bunch.
I mean, thank God for our firemen and policemen on that Narcan, because they're going into fire departments, they were shooting up, with a Narcan or overdose. They go around the corner, come back, they're high again, and
Oh yeah, they're
I mean,
treating the same person
yeah.
like multiple
But our
times.
firemen and our police are keeping them alive,
Yeah,
and on the job that they're doing. But their job is, they need to protect the community, I understand. But how do we stop them? They got to bring them in and get them into a program.
yeah.
Because just a release, is that working?
No,
know,
the problem
I
is
don't know.
the problem is what happens in Concord is once you say, okay, we're gonna deal with this, we're gonna fix this. we send a bunch of money to Health and Human Services, they distribute it to their friends,
Right.
and a lot of people get good contracts
I'd be
and everything
interested to
else.
see who's
But
doing
I
the
don't
contracts.
think they're necessarily going to the
Right.
places that are the most effective.
Yeah.
I doubt they are.
And do you know a veteran that has a drug problem here in New Hampshire? Of course, we got 6 veterans courts throughout. And it's a win-win for the state because it's not taxpayers' money, it's federal taxpayers' money.
Yeah, I think we just voted on that in judiciary this past year.
Because, we sure did. We put it, there was a bill that I sponsored.
Yeah.
And it passed and signed by the governor. But anyways, what this does is it gets the veterans into the VA, into the drug program. Now, the problem we have with the veterans, we don't have bed space in New Hampshire. We send them to Massachusetts or we send them to Maine. Or to Vermont, okay, for mental health and drug programs there. But the thing is, it's not costing the taxpayers money. We're getting people coming into our state, with problems that are moving in here. We're getting the drug dealers that are feeding off the weak, off our children, okay, with crack. Hey, try this. Come on, try this. And then they're hooked. Before you know it, they're robbing mom and dad and everything else there to try to keep their addiction going. My wife was telling me the story about one of her relatives, multi-millionaire family. Okay, it hits everybody. She ended up, something happened. She had some issues. She ended up out. She tried a little, then it hit her. She needed more and more. Then she started robbing her family, this and that. And then she started hooking, to get money there. And this is a multi-millionaire, family.
Right.
Once that's why I say it's evil. Once it grabs you,
once it got you, that's it. So how do we go after these drug dealers that are feeding off our children? And that's what we, what the drug courts are doing. Rather than putting them in jail, that's not the answer. But to get them and say, we'll give you an opportunity to get help. We'll pay for it.
It is incredible.
But turn in the dealer.
I don't think, not anybody, but I don't think most people understand the severity of this and how far-reaching this drug is, in our neighborhoods, in our little towns. Little towns of, 300 or 400 people, 500 people, small little towns are loaded with it.
Well,
the biggest complaint, the biggest crime in these, in most places right now is heroin.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that it should be dealt with exactly like that little maggot in New York yesterday. Okay? That little maggot in New York yesterday killed
what a disgrace.
A bunch of people.
It was an evil person.
It was very evil.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, no. Again, I disagree. I don't believe in evil people. I believe in people who are basically, they have allowed evil to take themselves over.
No, I think that guy was evil.
No.
I don't believe he was taken over.
No, I don't think so. I think people because
but if you hear what he just said.
Let me just finish.
I know what he's saying.
Okay, so anyway, people who have been taken over by evil are the same. It's the same evil that would sell heroin on the streets of Manchester to children or anybody else for that matter. And if we start treating it like that, almost like they're enemy combatants, okay, because that heroin dealer has probably killed a lot more than that dirtbag in New York City yesterday.
And
it should be treated exactly the same. They should be interrogated until the cows come home, almost like an enemy
domestic terrorist.
As a domestic terrorist.
Should be a death penalty on those drug dealers. I don't care what you do to them. We got to stop this.
No, I agree.
You got to cut the head.
And this is why it's important, and I don't see it happening. Why we got to bring people that are involved. Because you get too many cooks in the kitchen, too many chefs there. It's too much. But we get a couple from the family health, and children family law. Health and Human Services, you know what I'm saying? Judiciary, criminal justice, all the players, maybe even somebody from finance and Ways and Means that did the funding, that understands where the money went, okay, and get them to see what is going on in this state. Are we getting our money's worth? Are we just throwing money at a problem?
I would say no. Look at the results. I would say we're getting a horrible return on that investment.
So we have to, before we put another dollar in these programs, we've got to demand answers.
Right.
Exactly.
And as a speaker, that's what I would want. I want answers on the taxpayers' money.
Right.
Are we doing the right thing? And then to get back, like I told you, on you know,
We're famous. We're on
transparency.
TV. What was the show last week, 2 weeks ago? New Hampshire. Of all the wonderful things New Hampshire is, they featured the drug crisis
Right.
in New Hampshire.
Yeah, why would
Was it Daylight? I don't know.
why would Amazon set up shop in the heroin addiction capital of the country?
No. Well, we're how do I say? We used to, with the fentanyl deaths, we used to be number one in the country. I don't know if we're still number one. I mean, it's like it moves around like the plague.
Everybody
think
says
so.
we are. I mean,
Per capita,
Yeah,
right?
we were
Right.
per capita.
Right.
We over 500 deaths per year.
Right.
Well, on the
There's
fentanyl.
Flocka,
Right.
there's fentanyl, there's some other co-fentanyl or
Right.
whatever they call this.
We got to get a
have
handle
no
on
idea
it.
what's
We
going
got to
on
get a
out there.
handle on it.
That's why I said that the dealers should be started
We
to
need
be treated.
understand.
Right.
They need to be treated like enemy combatants,
Right.
as if they're domestic terrorists,
Right.
and push them for the information they have. And
That would be a good bill.
Right.
Put that through.
You know?
And you wanna
we
know
need
something?
results coming out of Concord.
What we're not getting information on, at least I haven't seen at the state house, we need to bring in the police officer in the streets, the one that's in the trenches, the firemen in the trenches. Come in and talk to the legislators
Right.
and educate.
And is the Narcan
what is
the
actually
solution?
going on?
Right.
You know what I'm
Narcan
saying?
actually might be the part of the problem.
We know 40% of them overdose again and die.
Right, yeah.
So I mean, is I hate to say it like that. I don't want to be cold, but I mean,
well, no,
you know, is Narcan the answer?
the Narcan? We need
But
to
to that
study
mom
it.
and dad, it is.
Well, yes,
You know what I
but
mean? That
their
saved
mom-
their
yeah, to their
child's
mom and
life,
dad,
you know what I
it
mean?
is,
So,
right.
no, because
Right.
it can be part of the problem. The problem, like I said, it's evil, but what happens for a heroin addict, okay, the perfect high is right at that cusp between death and life, okay? If there's Narcan available, they'll feel comfortable pushing that envelope because they know they can be brought back. It's a false security.
I've got customers that are ambulance drivers, and I asked them about this. We talk about that situation. They said, "Yeah, we give them the Narcan, they come back to life, and then a day
out
or
the
2
door.
days, we're back at their house
Right.
and back at their thing, giving them more Narcan."
well, Gary, do you think, you were at the house when I was,
Right.
in 2010, I think it was,
I mean,
we
people
passed,
really understand
we
this
passed a
sort of thing.
piece of legislation there where we cut back on the pain pills. And we made
Yes.
it like, was it 15 days supply? What I think in my own mind, I think what we did, I voted against that.
Okay.
For a couple of reasons, I voted against it. Number one, because our elderly, okay, that are living off of Social Security would have to pay more co-payments that are on these medications.
That's true too, yeah.
Okay, so, but not only that, I felt that we were going to feed the beast. When I say feed the beast, meaning that if people with pain, and I'm one who lives with pain, okay, because of all the medical injuries I've had in the military, and I have Desert Storm syndrome and other stuff. When they couldn't get the oxy, they went to something else for the pain, okay, because you only got 15. Then we found out in New Hampshire they go into doctor shopping. So then we turn around, we put a program in through the legislation where now in New Hampshire, a doctor's required to go on the computer and see, and every doctor, you can tell if they went from doctor to doctor to doctor to get these pills.
Correct.
So what I'm asking myself is, did we bring this on? That's why I want this commission
Right.
to look and dissect
So
this
much
here.
money in that
You know what I'm
drug
saying?
company that produces.
Yeah, because
OxyContin.
somebody is making millions of dollars, trillions of dollars
Of course they are.
off of this drug program.
Right.
There's finally another state that's actually
The
filing
drug
suit against the
company
drug
Right.
companies.
New Hampshire just did too. I believe we just filed also.
Good.
The Attorney General did.
Right, and the doctors that prescribe and they're getting that, but there's tons
Right.
of benefits that go to the doctors that from the drug companies in trips and in benefits
My-
and bonuses and
Yeah,
all
my
kinds
mother
of
was
stuff.
working at Manchester Mental Health years ago, and that's what they do. The drug companies would come in and they'd offer the doctors, trips to Bermuda, or they couldn't offer them a trip to Bermuda. They would come and offer them, would you mind coming and speaking at our convention in Bermuda, and we'll pay for you to come and speak.
And your
they
family
didn't
and-
care about the
Right,
speech,
yeah.
obviously.
That's right.
But it was a way around the law so that they could keep shoveling
Right.
drugs into these kids. And Manchester Mental Health was dealing
Right.
with a lot of little young people. but they wanted to shovel those drugs
Well,
in.
you got a
Imagine
Democrat
how much
senator.
heroin you've got to have when you can pick some up on almost every street corner in the country. How much?
Right.
I mean, boatloads.
No.
How much of this stuff is coming in at one time?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
we're going to find out real soon there. In Jersey, there's a case going on with that U.S. Senator Martinez, I think is our word. But anyways, over Medicaid fraud and pills and everything else that was going on with this here and fraud in the government. So, and that was his friend that was same thing, taking his family on trips and working on his house and doing all this other stuff. So all that's going through the court right now with that Senate.
Right.
I can imagine how many other people out there like that. You know what I mean? That keep feeding the beast there and making it worse.
Right.
Yeah,
Tons.
and that's
if they're
why
making money. They're you're never going to lose. You get a shortage.
that's why I said it's actually evil. We got to start. To me, we have to start calling it what it is.
Yes.
And people that would, for the almighty buck, would allow that kind of medication to be pushed on the American people just for money.
Right.
It's evil.
And remember, England had the entire Chinese population addicted to opium.
Yeah, the opium wars.
I mean, everybody. That was it. So there's a lot of control in that too.
Sure
I'm
is.
not sure it's.
Well, it weakens society. It's a form
course
of
it does.
national
they know.
security.
Of course, they know.
Right.
It's
They know.
it's
And little by
absolute
little,
control.
that's right. I mean, if you take a look at our children here today, probably maybe less than half of our society of the kids on psychopathic drugs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And people are
Remember
losing
the
the message.
Ritalin? Everybody was
Right.
on Ritalin.
I refused. When my son Eddie was young, doctors in California wanted to put him on Ritalin. I come home, my wife, my ex-wife thought it was the best thing to straighten him out. He was a hyper kid. I said, I'm not putting him on Ritalin. Well, he's not touching that.
Right.
Never did. You know what my son does today? He's got a bachelor's degree in communications. If you watch the live PD show, he's in San Antonio, Texas. They're doing the second season on a Friday night, the police show there. And last season, he was in Florida.
Nice.
Okay, this is somebody that they want to put on Ritalin.
Right.
Now, what they don't realize, these parents, they're putting their kids in for Social Security, SSI. They're feeding off their children for the almighty dollar.
They are.
Okay?
Right.
And that's got to stop.
Right.
And a lot of people don't realize what's going on in our country with this. Now, what they don't realize, too, when they become 15, 16, 7, they want to join the military at 17, they can't.
'cause
They're
they're on
disqualified.
drugs.
Right.
The other thing too is
Which would be a good place for them.
Yeah.
if the people in D.C. devoted as much time looking into the Russian connection between Trump and the Russians, if they devoted that much energy and that much effort into trying to find out how opium is getting or heroin is getting into this country,
They don't want to find out.
they don't want to
No.
find.
They just want to talk.
They don't.
They don't want to ever
Trump
find
is
anything
100%
out.
right on
And
that
government
wall.
doesn't want to solve any
On the
problem.
drugs coming in over the borders.
Of course it is.
We've got to get that wall up.
Right.
And stop the drug flow, because then they'll find
Mexico
another
owns
source.
one of the biggest airports in Puerto Rico, for instance.
Oh, yeah, that's
Mexico,
right, yes.
the country of
Right.
Mexico, the Mexican government owns the largest airport in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Once you get into Puerto Rico, you just need a driver's license to come here.
It's a shame.
How's that?
But if we don't do that, they're going to find another source after the wall is up
The
anyway.
Chinese control
and-
almost all of our seaports.
Right. Do you see the ships? I mean, I think we're getting a lot smarter. Do you see the ships that have been busted here with coming in with tons of cocaine and poppy and all that other stuff there? With a,
No.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they've just recently a Coast Guard.
Containers. I mean,
Right, containers.
How much?
Yeah.
How much has to come into this country
Right.
so everybody can have some? Anybody can go anywhere and
But
buy
how
it.
much has slipped through? And just like Canada,
Well,
I
it's not
think.
slipped through. It's who's letting it through.
Right, who's letting it through? Just like in Canada, they were finding the marijuana coming in through the mail.
Right.
And I'm sure the same thing here in our United States here. But do we have the dogs? Do we have this equipment, the snip, to identify every package in the country?
As long as we have the market to sell it,
Right.
the product will show up. Somehow we have to. We've been saying this for 100 years. But somehow we have to go after the demand.
Right.
We got to stop people from needing it or wanting it.
Right.
I still can't, to this day. I don't drink. I don't do it. Smoke. I don't do anything. But I still cannot, for the life of me, figure out how somebody goes from getting OxyContin and getting addicted to it to going to sticking a needle in their arm.
Right.
Because it's
Picking it up.
cheaper.
I don't understand.
I don't either.
I can't understand
No.
that leap.
Right.
No matter how much.
If you go back to what I said, if you understand that a person innocently, for the most part, allows themselves to be taken over by evil, okay? And the first time they do it is, like you said, they have a back problem. The doctor, they go in the doctor, here's OxyContin. Well, your
Okay,
body...
I'm not going to give you any more. Now what are you going to do? Well, I think I'm going to go to some house someplace.
Yeah, and because the doctors...
cook it up and shoot it in my arm.
I'll tell you, when I
That's a
was
huge leap.
when I was like 16, I think it was, because it's too long ago, the doctors were giving me Valium. Same thing. They
Right.
wanted to
Oh,
calm
yeah.
me down in school, right? Within a few months, or about 6 months, I was so addicted, I had no idea.
Right.
I was a kid.
And
Okay, I'm a
parents-
16-year-old kid. I have no idea that
Right.
I'm addicted.
And parents thinking they're doing the right thing by listening to the doctor.
Exactly. And they put me in the hospital for something else, right? 3 days I went without sleep. And then I had a seizure. It could have killed me.
Right.
Now, knowing what I know now, that seizure, that withdrawal could have killed me. But the drug companies told the doctors that it was non-addictive.
Right, and that's what you use for children.
I've
you know?
talked to young people who told me both parents overdosed.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
What is going on?
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, we've got to somehow, and this is why, as a speaker, I would have the power to put this commission together and try to get a handle on this. Bring in the duty experts. Tell us what that money did.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. What's it doing?
I mean,
Where? Yeah. And how much more are you going to need?
John, you and I think you, and along with Gary, you were at the State House there when we passed medical marijuana, when we overrid
Right.
the governor's veto.
Yes.
Do you know, I first voted against medical marijuana.
I did too.
Okay? I was ignorant to it, I'll be honest. But like anything else, I reserve the right to change my mind.
Right.
And that's what I did, because I was working with Senator Bob Clegg on bringing in Elliott Urgent Care Center in Londonderry, and then Dana Farber.
Right.
Well, once Dana Farber came in, I went over there for the grand opening. We were waiting to do the veto override.
Yeah.
I started talking to some of the nurses off the record. After they told me the stories of the people that are in pain, going through chemotherapy,
Right.
not eating for days, other illnesses,
Yes.
I thought to myself, I said, who in the hell am I to stop these people?
Right.
So I did vote for the marijuana override,
Right.
for medical marijuana. And then now I look and I read throughout the years that stuff is working on PTSD. It's helping veterans that are 20 veterans a day committing suicide.
Right.
It's helping them with their issues there.
Right.
So, that's why I'm saying I don't understand the drug. That's why the duty experts, like over there, educated me
Right.
why I think it would benefit the House, this commission, to listen
Right.
to the duty experts instead of people coming in lobbyists, the one that got their hands out,
Right.
for their clients.
And then you find out that you did the right thing.
Right.
You said medical marijuana is fine. You get your card. Now you can't possess a firearm.
That's right.
And you can't go buy one. So,
You see the case, I don't know
So-
where
so-
it was, in Seattle somewhere?
and people don't
A
know
police
that
officer.
yet. People haven't put
Yeah.
that together.
A police officer with medical marijuana card. They took him to court, and he ended up losing his
I hadn't
job.
heard that. Well,
Yeah.
of course.
Of course you
it's
would,
a
yeah.
federal, It's against the
Right, it's against the federal
government
law.
doesn't understand the drug.
But I mean, I understand. I always carry with me, because I sit on state and federal relations, the New Hampshire Constitution and the U.S. Constitution. As you see, they're pretty worn.
Right.
And why do I carry them? Because I can never remember verbatim what's in the Constitution. But everyone has their own different interpretation. So when issues come up, I always pull them out just to refresh my mind on my interpretation of the Constitution under freedom. Nowhere does it say you have the right to kill yourself. Or nowhere in there does it say you have the right to be a drug addicted and this and that. And nowhere does it say that, we shouldn't help you or we should help you.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, New Hampshire statute, it's against the law to kill yourself.
Right, yes.
Yeah,
And-
because the thing is when
No one's
they,
ever been prosecuted.
well, the reason is because when these laws
Yeah,
were
they're
written, when
gone.
the Constitution
Right.
was written, it was completely understood that you didn't have a right to kill yourself because you were created by God. Only
Right.
God has that
Yes,
right.
that's right. And that's why I went into Massachusetts and I testified on that bill there, on the assisted suicide bill at the State House there. Just like I killed it remember I went to the floor?
Yep.
And spoke and killed it on the floor. because for many years the state of New Hampshire has invested millions and millions of dollars in the National Guard in suicide prevention. And now all of a sudden we're going to make it easy for you to kill yourself?
Right. What kind of message does that send
Sends a bad message
to a teenager
Yeah.
who is obviously many teenagers go through times in their lives where they're really, really depressed and they think everybody hates them and all this other
Right.
crap. And if they look, it's legal to kill yourself.
Well,
it sets a moral standard.
Yeah, doctors aren't God. They predict that you maybe a year ago or 6 months ago. And I can say from my own experience with my mother. My mother went in hospice, I think, in September. They didn't expect her to live till October. My mother grabbed my shirt there at the bed there and says to me, I think my wife was there, I want to die. Okay, I want to die. I can't take this no more. A couple hours later, my mother says, I want to live. I'm not ready to go yet. Do you know my mother lived till January after New Year's Eve?
Yep.
She was determined. You know what I mean? When she had cancer and other sick illnesses there, she was in a major car accident with my father when he died, about 8-10 years ago. But and I look at that and saying, when you're on drugs and you're saying I want to die, you don't know that's the drug speaking.
Exactly.
Because I don't know too many that want to die.
That's a good example of what I was talking about. How these kids that are addicted to heroin and opiates, it's exactly the same thing. When you hear what they say and do, it's the drug speaking.
That's right.
It's not them.
That's right.
But anyway, we only got 2 minutes.
Wow, this went fast.
Causing or aiding suicide is a Class B felony in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
If you cause your own suicide, it's a Class B felony.
But like you
Anyway,
said, nobody's been charged.
Speaker of the House, hopefully, and when to vote?
Well, the vote's going to be, the caucus vote is going to be on the 28th, and then on the 30th, when we're in session, that's when we're voting on the speaker. But it all depends if Speaker Jasper gets confirmed as the commissioner of the Agricultural Commission.
That's probably going to happen.
Right.
So if people want you to become Speaker of the New Hampshire House, what you can do is call your state legislator and say, hey, please support Al Baldasaro. At least you know what you're getting, and you know he's shooting straight.
Right.
And we'll see you guys.
Who he is, if you don't know who your state legislator, your state representative is, look on
New Hampshire General Court.
General Court or
Right.
Gen Court or generalcourt.com.
Right.
Hey, we'll
Gary,
see you guys
thank
next
you.
week. Al, you're the best.
It's always a pleasure.
Take care, Al.